Hey Spuds, it's Jamie, welcome back to another video. First one on the channel, I don't know, but welcome either way, and welcome to today's episode of Accidental Allies. Oh yeah, the allyship we didn't really ask for, and we don't really need, but go off I guess, but maybe next time remember to be kind to other people on purpose. That might be nice. Our first accidental ally is Andrew Tate. Okay, so ContraPoints. If you don't know who ContraPoints is, go check her out. Wonderful trans woman who makes amazing videos. Said, I'm stressed out about this election to the point it's making me physically ill. Elections do be stressful. Andrew, I need to call him Andrew Tweet. Andrew Tate retweeted this going, this is why women shouldn't vote. They're morons. Not that we should ignore the misogyny, but let's just accept the fact for a second. The self-own that accidental ally Andrew Tate just did by accepting and referring to a trans woman as a woman. We all know trans women are women. Andrew Tate seems to forget, but in this moment, he accepted it. Unknowingly or not. Yeah, accidental ally Andrew Tate. Sorry, I don't date Republicans. I would wear that t-shirt. That's okay because we conservatives don't date women with penises. Okay, I mean, they're trying to be rude, right? And they are being rude, but they got a reply that really sums up my feelings on this comment. It's funny to me how you're trying to be transphobic, but you just accidentally acknowledged women can have penises. I'm posting this on r/accidental ally, lol. Thank you for acknowledging that women with penises are still women, and whether you would date them or not, I'm sure they don't care and they wouldn't date you either. Wrong. Physically and biologically not possible to change your gender. You can play dress up and pretend, but underneath the facade, you're still a man. We're talking about FDM trans people, LMAO to trans men. Oh shit, my bad, I just woke up. Replace male with female and it'll be correct. Point still stands and you know what I was trying to say. Like, obviously, when there are accidental allies, people know what they're trying to say, but it just comes across like it's not second nature to misgender trans people. There are two things very wrong in the original post though. One, they got it very confused between what a trans man and a trans woman is, and they put the wrong word there. But also they're saying it's physically and biologically not possible to change your gender. This is what trans people are saying, because an attempt at conversion therapy would be an attempt to change someone's gender. Transitioning is not changing your gender, it's just living your life as your gender and being able to do so and feeling more comfortable in your skin as your gender. So it isn't just the fact that he got trans men and trans women and the terms confused, it's also the fact that they said you can't change your gender, which I didn't change my gender, thank you. Simply can't change biology. Just because you dress up as a woman doesn't mean you are one. I feel like it's very similar arguments, like empty arguments from people who are bigoted in their viewpoints. I've seen people who are like hardcore Trump supporters trying to debate with someone who is a Harris supporter and voter, and they have no substance to their arguments. They are just saying things. They are throwing poo at walls and hoping something sticks, but nothing sticks because it all is just shit. And that's the same with a lot of transphobes, but not all transphobes. They don't know the first thing about trans people, so they don't know the first thing to say to try and argue against trans people in any kind of cohesive way. There is no valid argument against trans people existing and against trans people's rights. However, they don't even get on the first rung of the ladder of making an attempt, because to argue against something, you have to understand what you're arguing against. And if you don't understand what you're arguing against, you either just sound really silly, or you sound really silly and you're an accidental ally. It's one of the two. It doesn't stop it from causing harm in society, because unfortunately people still listen to empty arguments even when they don't make sense. But I think the accidental allyship and comments like this one really highlight the fact that there are so many people who think they're an expert and think that they can debate and think that they have the right and the knowledge to sit there and go,
this is why I don't like trans people.
And it's like, but you don't even know the first thing. How can you sit there and think that you can argue about something that you know nothing about? Even if you're against something, you need to look into it to know how to argue against it. And I feel like there's a fear of looking into things. Maybe it's because they'd find out that they'd actually not be transphobic if they understood trans people a little better. Tables were incredibly dirty, and to add insult to injury, one of the employees had they them pinned to their shirt. Oh, the pronoun badge ruined my dinner? How dare this place of eating be inclusive to their staff members?
They didn't force me to wear a pronoun badge, but I was offended by having to look at a pronoun badge.
Why? Like, okay, the incredibly dirty tables, I get. You don't want to go to somewhere where you're eating food and the tables be incredibly dirty. You could have left a bad review just for that, but no, they're like, hold on a second. Hold my beer, Barbara. I need to be transphobic right now. How dare they have pronouns? I think this was supposed to be insulting, but it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So it's like a doll. Oh, they them them sticker, a non-binary doll with a little glasses decal, 2 different faces. You can have blue, green, or pink hair. Well, technically 3 different faces, but they've got one on at the minute. Now with more pronouns. Cool. Trans rights are human rights. Z, them, he, him, they, she, a little cup of coffee, progress pride flags. Great. I mean, if that was meant to be hateful, that's hilarious. It's just very, very far off the mark. I think it's pretty cool as well. Why do we not have a little non-binary figurine with pronoun stickers and pride flag and coffee? Very important. I feel like, again, this just highlights a total lack of knowledge of what would even be offensive. Like, they think that this is taking the piss and is offensive when actually, like, pronoun badges, great. Trans rights are human rights, wonderful. I have a really strong feeling that this is gonna turn out to have been actually like, no, this was made by a non-binary person, because it just seemed too on point, unless the person making it was phobic and just completely missed the joke. Sitting in a woman's bathroom, everyone will think it's weird. Okay, for you, you can have the thinking mind to go to a woman's bathroom. For all of us, we reject it. A trans male going to a woman's bathroom is weird. End of discussion. 2 sides. A side with one person and a side with everyone agreeing with. Is that their concept of a coherent argument? Because it is neither a good argument nor coherent. What the hell? So they're basically saying a trans male going to a woman's bathroom is weird. It would be so weird if I went into a woman's bathroom, because I am not a woman. It would be very uncomfortable for everybody involved. It's just not the place for me to be. Yeah, I love that. 2 sides, a side with one person, just a side with bigots, and then a side everyone is agreeing with. If we take this person's accidental allyship as just allyship, but obviously accidental, they are trying to be transphobic. So it's more offensive, the laziness of it. They can't even be bothered to understand things an inch. You're not a girl, your life is a costume. You're right, Greg, I am a man. Silly Greg. Didn't even use the right you're. A black woman as president, let's go. I want a president who's attracted to women. Wants a lesbian president. Hashtag ally. Oh, were they trying to be like, I want a man president, specifically a straight man president. The president must be attracted to, but yeah, accidental allyship there. So you don't just want a woman president, you want a lesbian president. Great, let's go. Look at that flag in your username. You are a man. Thanks for validating my gender identity. LMFA. Oh, I'm trans mask. Woman. That does not repair your error. So you've just gone, you are a man, and someone said, yes, I am. I'm a trans man, thank you. Well, I'm trans mask. And they think that it's gonna save their argument to just reply with woman. Are they okay? Misogynist. Laughy, laughy, laugh face. You just love throwing that around. Trans men hate the fact that they can't be women. I love the fact. Like, I'm not a woman, so why would I want to be one? I am happy with who I am. I'm happy that I transitioned. As a trans man, I can say being shit talked about while you're in the same room still happens. So this person has literally confirmed that they are a trans man, and the response that they got is a wonderfully horrible acronym of YWNBAW, which means you will never be a woman. They literally said they are a trans man. Why is it that these transphobes struggle to get their heads around the literal most basic type of language about trans people? Trans space man, trans space woman. The clue is in the name. A trans man is a man, a trans woman is a woman. I don't understand why, when they're trying to be bigoted, they don't just take a minute to make sure they've got it the right way round. And why on earth would a trans man, so somebody like me who is a man who is trans, I am a man who was assigned female at birth, why would I refer to myself as a trans woman? That makes 0 sense to me. Which America will you give your grandchildren? This was meant to be like an anti-pride, anti-LGBT plus poster. But what we have, the 2 choices are, you can either be stood in a very hot, dry looking field of wheat, holding an American flag, or you can be smiling and partying, surrounded by rainbows and color and other people. What would you prefer? An empty ass field of wheat clinging on to your American flag, or being happy and smiley and fabulous, surrounded by loads of people having a party and a good time and celebrating who they are? I know which one I want to give my grandchildren. Not that I am American, so it's not up to me, but if it was which Britain will you give your grandchildren, I would absolutely choose the pride-filled one. Not only do they know that whoever they are, they will be accepted and whatever their identity, but there's also a wonderful community, and just who doesn't want pride flags over a field of wheat? Why? What is enticing about wheat? I don't get it. I'm telling telling you, if you showed that to a kid and you said which one would you prefer as the grandchild, they're gonna want the person who looks happy and is surrounded by people and colour. Won't make them gay. Just clarifying that though, before any phobes watching this are like,
Oh, yeah, well, rainbows make children gay.
no, they don't. People are either born LGBT plus or they're not. End of. But what child is like, oh, wheat? What adult is like, oh, wheat? You're the one who brought it up. Is it finding dresses to fit over your balls? Trouble finding foundation that covers a beard? What? I'm trans mask. Also, who would even try to put foundation over a beard? Maybe like if there's stubble. I found a Twitter profile called Turfs R Us. I find it both hilarious and really sad that they've taken the name of a once beloved toy store which does not exist in the UK anymore. Toys R Us. Turfs R Us. We are Turfs. Bit bizarre, yeah. Anyway, they decided to tweet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in one tweet, not 7 separate tweets. Trans men will never be true women. 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 I cannot remember how many I've said. I've lost count. But just one final time, just in case. Trans men will never be true women. There you go. Turfs are us. The turfs have spoken. Trans men are men, not women. Like your whole chest. Your profile page is called Turfs Are Us. You literally run a Twitter page intentionally being transphobic, and it's all about transphobia, and you got this wrong? And this was tweeted in 2024. Oh, also, this was something I saw. I think this was reasonably recently, as in since Elon has taken over and called Twitter X. J.K. Rowling's profile, it was J.K. Rowling's birthday, and Twitter said, today is their birthday. I'm sure that J.K. Rowling loved that. Their birthday. Accidental ally. Biological reality Australia. Girls can be whatever they want to be. They just can't be boys. I feel like this was very much being transphobic towards trans men and being like,
Girls cannot be boys. Nuh-uh.
but it's actually quite affirming to trans women and being like, well, yes, people who are girls and people who are women cannot be boys and cannot be men because they are girls. Like, that's not how it works. Yes, thank you for acknowledging that gender is a thing, and if your gender is girl, you cannot be a boy. It is also quite a contradictory statement though. Like, if we put aside the attempt at transphobia and the accidental allyship, they've literally said that girls can be whatever they want to be. Oh, but they can't be this thing. And it's like, trans people wouldn't disagree with you that girls can't be boys, but just people who create these posts have a very, very simplified and old-fashioned understanding of gender and identity, and they really need to catch up because it's getting very boring. Girls these days are like a box of chocolates. Some of them have nuts. But again, like the women with penises post, that you were trying to be a dick, but you've just acknowledged that some women have nuts. Brilliant. Thank you. Ashley, what is your real name? The one your dad proudly gave you, I mean. Why specifically the dad? What if this person wasn't named by their dad? How do you know? Lol, I know this comment was supposed to be aggravating, but you called me my name. Thanks much as this was very affirming and you were going on r/accidental ally. I'm assuming they're trying to ask a trans person their dead name and referring to their dead name as their real name, but by doing that they have used this person's name. That's like if somebody said to me like, Jamie, what is your real name? And I'm like, one, that is a really dumb question because Jamie is the answer and you already had the answer, so two, extra dumb, and thank you for calling me by my name. But they reply going, I mean your real name, ASHLEY. That helps just as good, thanks. It doesn't matter if you put a space and you're trying to like spell it out, you are still calling them by their name. It actually seems like you were saying it more confidently because it's all capitals. You're like, I mean your real name, Ashley. It just happened to me too. I'm a trans girl. Why? What's the hang up? You're a pretty girl. Stay that way. Don't destroy your body for some reason you will regret. Oh, honey, I think you might have misinterpreted this post. Yeah, definitely some misinterpretation. I also hate the concept. A lot of transphobes comment on physical appearance and attractiveness. So if they find photographs of a trans person pre-transition attractive, they will literally comment and be like, oh my god, why did you do this? You were so pretty, as if that's what people care about, and as if their opinion on our appearance pre-transition would make any kind of difference to whether transitioning was the right thing for us or not. It's such a bizarre concept of being like, well, because I'm complimenting your appearance before, surely that means that you shouldn't have transitioned, right? Bit weird. But yes, well done for affirming this person. My local church bishop bought some of the famous patriotic pretzels, and the patriotic pretzels was, I think the color mixing went a little bit wrong, particularly with the red, which is now pink. The blue is also not quite right and happens to almost perfectly be the blue of the trans flag. So here we have the blue, pink and white of the trans flag. And actually, there's even less white than there is blue and pink, which is very accurate for the trans flag. Yeah, it is, because it's got blue, pink, white, pink, blue. So it's got 2 pink, 2 blue, 1 white. So they've even got it proportionately correct. Okay, we've got a video. Conservative becomes pro-trans. We ready?
Okay, here's a question. Let's say that we are 20 years into the future, we have brain transplant surgery. Let's say that I take your Rob's brain and I put it into a cis woman's body. Let's say that you wake up and you're like, this feels really wrong. I feel like I feel like a man and now I'm in a woman's body. Would you say that that's a disorder, that you have a disorder there?
I would say I have a disorder, an illness, or something that's wrong physiologically or mentally with my body, yes.
And then what is the disorder?
The disorder is that my brain is in the wrong body.
Okay, so what is a solution for that?
Put my brain in a body that more aligns with what my brain is.
Oh, so it's not to change the brain.
Okay, you just stated exactly that. Okay, I love you. You are the most trans-positive conservative I've ever argued with. So that is exactly the position that trans people take, is what you should do is you need to make the body match what the brain says. So that's why we have things like hormone replacement therapy, reassignment surgery. It's to make the body match what the brain is experiencing. So what you just said is that exactly.
Okay, right. So again, where is this argument? Because I say that, and this is the exact argument that you're actually making my argument for me. So the reason that in addition to all the reasons you stated why banning these books are...
That's hilarious. Like, that guy did not know how to respond to it. When people start their response multiple times in an argument and they keep flipping up slightly what they're changing, it's not like they're trying to formulate it. It's literally, they are starting to say something, realizing it's not going to go anywhere. They start saying something different, realize it's not going anywhere. This guy did that about 4 times before he now started talking about book bans. And that is not where this conversation was for this section. It was basically saying, you have just admitted that if you were a trans person, and the language is relatively basic to be like in the wrong body, but we'll go with the analogy because being trans is about your gender and your brain not matching your assigned sex of your body. And trans people, we do take hormones and go through surgeries, gender affirming surgeries, to alleviate symptoms of gender dysphoria and feel more comfortable in our bodies because of what our genders are, right? So this person has literally just said, basically, if I woke up and I was suddenly a trans man who hadn't transitioned yet, so I was assigned female at birth, but I had the same brain I do now as this cis man in a cis man's body, what would I do about it? And if you'd asked him, what do you think a trans person should do? If someone assigned female at birth identifies as a man, what do you think they should do? I would have bet money that his answer would have been along the lines of they should speak to somebody and just live their life as the woman they are, because transphobia. So basically pushing conversion therapy as the best route for a trans person. But as soon as it's flipped on him and he's like, you are you, but your body is not, what do you do? And he's like, well, I changed my body. He didn't even think about it. It's like, obviously I make my body align with my brain. I don't change my brain. Why is it that transphobes think, 1, that trans people aren't valid and are just choosing or making it up, and 2, that conversion therapy is a valid option for trans people, but then as soon as it's flipped on them, oh no, like I need to fix this body to go with this brain. Yes, quite the accidental ally. A boy can like dolls, pink, have longer hair and still not need to be trans. Yes, gender roles don't determine gender, and a trans woman is still a woman even if she doesn't like those things. Exactly. And there's so much pressure. Gender stereotypes, I feel like, particularly from people who are like medium transphobic, they want to put gender stereotypes so strongly on trans people. There's an expectation for trans men to be super duper masculine, otherwise what was the point in transitioning? And for trans women to be super duper feminine, or what was the point in transitioning? At least,
you know, live up to the stereotypes of the gender you want to live as.
Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But as soon as they're talking about cis people, and then even used as an argument against trans people transitioning, they're like, there's nothing wrong with being gender non-conforming. You can be gender non-conforming and not be trans. That's fine. You don't have to transition just because you were a tomboy. And trans people have been saying forever that that is not the point. It's not about expression. Our expression and our identities are 2 separate things that for a lot of people there's an overlap and a correlation, but for many people there isn't. And there can be trans men and cis men who are very, very feminine, and trans women and cis women who are very, very masculine, and non-binary people do not have to be androgynous. So they're 2 arguments arguments counter each other, because on one hand, they're like, you can be gender non-conforming and not be trans, but then it's like, as soon as you are trans and non-conforming to your gender, as in like trans man being more feminine, they use that as a reason as to why that trans man isn't actually a man. And then it's like, but I thought you said you could be non-conforming and it didn't impact your gender, so why are you using it as a reason here? They confused themselves. My pronouns are try me / you can get it. Well, look, you are admitting that pronouns are real. You have selected your pronouns and you are advertising those pronouns. Why do they think it's such a own on the trans community and on pronoun usage to make up some like bizarre pronouns, which we know they're not using as their pronouns? You're doing it as a joke, but it's literally, yes, people wear badges and t-shirts and things that say their pronouns. I will now refer to you as try me / you can get it. Thanks for letting me know. So the Republican National Convention, I don't know when this was, does it say? I don't know. But in their advertising, they use the colors of the trans flag. And I feel like, in a very fortunate coincidence, the flag of the USA being the red, white, and blue, and then the trans flag being the pink, white, and blue. If people want to portray like the US flag colors, but just in a more diluted, pastel kind of way, it looks like the trans flag half the time. They've clearly gone for like America colors, but because they've done it just slightly off to make it more aesthetic, because if I'm honest, the blue and the red in the American flag is not particularly aesthetic for things like this. It can work sometimes, but it's not my personal vibe. I can see why they'd want to change it up a bit, but you change it up a bit and you get trans positive pretzels and trans positive Republican National Convention posters. So yay. And that's it for the Accidental Allies today. I hope you liked this video. Think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.